Or he would actually show up for a podcast then?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, if we tricked him
That
and
was a
told him.
nice dig, if you didn't notice. Dig
Ooh,
at him.
we got him.
Shots fired.
Well, then we'll have to tell him that we have the new Legend of Zelda that's not released yet, the alpha version.
You don't actually have it, though.
Oh, shit.
Hilarious, the biggest troll of all. Hey, we got this alpha. You want to try it? And then shows up and you're like, just joking.
Just joking. We're just
JK.
podcasting about your
Like,
band.
drag it out for a month.
You'd probably just leave.
That'd be awesome. I'd watch that.
I would.
The 3 seconds where he walks in, the moment his heart breaks, and then he leaves.
And you could just see him die inside.
Yeah, I'd watch
In
that.
slow motion.
Yep.
Continuously repeat a GIF over and over.
Oh, a GIF form would be ideal.
That would be. I would just set it up like this on my desk at work and just watch it over and over again.
I wish I had a desk at work. Then I'd watch it all the time, too. Or have a projector follow me around showing that GIF over and over. That'd be sick.
Yeah, to get like a shoulder mount or something.
Damn. Okay. I'm going to have to find a solar-powered shoulder mount projector.
Just to watch that 2-second GIF over and over and over.
Yeah. So, hi.
Hey, how's it going? Welcome to Metal as Medicine. Cheers.
Oh, yeah. Cheers.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a tasty Lighthouse Ghost Ship Hazy IPA.
Ooh, beautiful. That is a good one. It does look quite hazy. It's definitely hazier than my Lighthouse Shipwreck IPA, named after Ailstorm, I bet.
That'd be awesome if it was.
It probably isn't, but that would be really awesome if it was.
Yeah, Lighthouse is pretty tasty beer.
It is. I quite enjoy it.
This one's nice and mellow. It's kind of orangey.
Where is Lighthouse located?
Victoria.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I went there once. It was fun.
To Victoria or actually to Lighthouse?
To Victoria.
Was it nice? I went there once in like middle school.
No,
we
I
visited
actually
Parliament.
did go to Lighthouse last time I was in Victoria, which is probably about a year ago.
Okay. Do they have like a brewery where you can go and sit down and get flights and food and shit like that?
At the time, they were in the middle of renovations to expand their tasting room, their little tap room. It was mostly a warehouse kind of stuff on the back end, a production facility. But yeah, the general manager, Ben Thomas, brought us in, showed us around after they were closed for some reason. I can't remember why. And it was during the day, so I really can't remember why they were closed during the day.
Oh.
But could have been like a Sunday or a random Monday or something like that where they're just not open. But yeah, it was really cool to see where all the magic happens. I think
Absolutely.
they produce some of the really consistent beer.
Mm-hmm.
One of
yes.
microbrews that are really consistent with good, tasty stuff.
I agree. Definitely. Yeah. Very consistent taste in their beer.
So what's new? Did I already ask that?
Let's see.
I have a feeling I already asked that.
I think you just said hi, and then we did a little bit of an intro.
Oh, okay.
So the next question is, what's new? Well, let's see. It's spring, so I've been riding my bike to work, which has been lots of fun, and my legs feel like jelly the last few days.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. Really scary, too, because one of my workplaces, there's a forest in Mission Creek Park between my home and there, in like Rutland.
Rutland.
And I had to ride my bike home last night at 11 o'clock at night through the pitch black forest. And the only thing I had was a flashlight on my phone.
Moral of the story, don't ride your bike.
That's right.
Because
You might just end up in a forest in the middle of the night in pitch black.
headlights, you need a lamp or something. They're really cheap. I'm sure you could find some Chinese website. You get it for $3 shipped to you for free.
Oh, yeah, and then break like 5 minutes later.
Well, that's right by 5.
Yeah. And then it'll last, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
No, I did have one in my wish list on Amazon for over a year now. So eventually I'm going to pull that trigger and buy that $20 flashlight.
Just waiting for more customer reviews.
Yeah, it's
Consumer reports got to come in.
100 isn't enough yet. I think we need like 200 more to solidify that 4-star rating.
Yeah. Some solid 3.7, but I'm not going to commit until it's at least a 4.
Come on, 5 stars. No, that and listening to lots of metal. And
why?
why? Because metal is very soothing. Metal is my medicine.
That's very interesting how you put that together.
Yeah.
I never thought of that before.
Yeah, it is a thing that when I listen to, I just get taken away from all my worries and troubles, and I can be taken away to soundscapes that are very different than what we're normally used to.
What are you listening to at this last? I think it's almost in 2 weeks since we've done like a person to person without band interviews.
Yeah, I think it has.
What have you been listening to?
Well, let's see. The new Inter Arma has come out, and I've been listening to that.
How did I miss it? See,
and you were all pumped.
I was all pumped, and I totally missed the release date. Oh man, that is shame on me. Holy crap!
Wow. Okay, so that came out, and it's really damn good. Holy man! Like a little bit of like a mix of like sludge, doom, black metal. Very cool. The mood is really neat.
Yeah.
The drumming is like it's tight drumming, but in the mix it sounds really sloppy. Like the bass kick is just like this wet mess.
That is one of the things that it stood out for me immediately, and I fell in love with it because it's not overproduced. Metal nowadays has a very distinct kind of fidelity for most of it. You know, the perfect kick sound or the perfect snare, where it just seems like they just let the natural crappy kick, the one that they broke, they've used on tour for the last 3 years.
Sure, and like when a band is producing albums that are overproduced, they don't generally have an atmosphere or mood that sets them apart from other albums or bands. And like I really enjoy really tight bass kicks like Gene Hoglan style, and you can hear it just going brrr all the way through the songs. But then when you hear something like Inter Arma, where it's just this sloppy thing, it just adds to like a different mood. Like when you read reviews of albums, I think a lot of people should be talking about the mood or the soundscape that it creates for the individual while listening to it. I mean, we would all probably get a different kind of feel from an album, but generally it should be about the same kind of thing.
So it is a very distinct kind of kick sound. You know,
Definitely.
But it's definitely, I don't find it off-putting. You know, not like the, very loathed Metallica Saint Anger stuff that was going on there. Holy crap.
Trash can snare.
Pong, pong, pong. Have you seen these videos of the YouTube where people have replaced other drum sounds for the Saint Anger snare?
Oh,
so it's the opposite.
I would love to hear some of those.
Oh, it's so terrible. Anyway, what else? Inter Arma.
Inter Arma came out, and then Numenorin is an Edmonton post-black metal band.
Post-black.
And their album Adore came out.
What makes a band post-black?
So it sounds like black metal, but it's better. The production is better. So it's a little bit more crisp to listen to. It is...
Would Dimmu Borgir classify as post-black? Because
that's kind of more like just straight-up extreme metal nowadays, or like extreme black. Kind of like Cradle of Filth, where it's not totally black, but it's kind of like in this extreme range that takes from like all genres.
Right. I was just curious. Okay, so they're better quality recordings of black metal instead of one microphone.
Yeah, instead of one microphone plopped in the middle of the studio with everybody playing around it 20 feet away.
Well, that would actually take a bit of talent, truthfully, to actually get a nice sounding album. Because then everyone would have to be so far from the microphone. All right.
They'd be more worried about how far apart they are from the microphone than whether they can play a good song or not.
Yeah. And so they just released an album? Is that why you're...
Yeah, it just came out a little while ago, like within a few weeks here. I'll just look on their Bandcamp here. April 12th.
Awesome.
Yeah, so, and actually they're coming to Kelowna.
When?
Let me just look at the calendar here.
Is that how you found out about them?
No, I found out about them when they released the album. I had never actually heard them before, and this is their sophomore album. They've had
Nice.
a demo and then 2 albums, and they are signed to Season of Mist, I believe, record
Oh, that's
label.
kind of neat.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, now I'm drawing a blank. What was your question?
How did you find out
Well,
about
how
these
did I
guys?
find them? Oh, I just explained that.
And, okay. Moving on. Any other things?
Well,
Skip.
I'm still thinking about how I can describe what they sound like,
Oh, right.
and that's almost impossible. It's like you have to listen to it yourself. It's damn good though. I highly recommend it.
Okay. Well, I probably won't
That's
listen
okay.
to it.
That's okay, man. Maybe
Not
it's
for a
not
while.
for you, right?
Maybe one day.
Maybe it'll play one day over the PA or
I
something.
know. And then 5 years from now, I'll be like, "Oh man, dude, check out this band," and you'll be like, "Dude, I showed you that 5 years ago."
We already talked about that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see what else. Valagao released their new album.
Okay.
I've only listened to it a couple of times, but it's really damn good. They're like a tech death band. Their album is called Apoptosis, and they sing a lot about like science and technology and stuff like that. The new album sounds damn awesome. Like every album is better than the last, and I have been listening to them since their first album came out.
So you feel they have a valid opinion on the growth
Yeah,
of them as
yeah, and they've been getting better with each release. Really has been better than the last one.
Cool.
With this
Okay.
one probably topping all of them. So that's pretty awesome.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, why not, right? If we're going to rate it 10 out of 10. Because then people will listen to it. If you rate it 7, they'll be like, well, it's not 8, so it's not worth it.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's it. Sun released their album, Life Metal, but I haven't listened to that one yet.
Like sun with 2 ends?
No,
Sun,
like Sun with the 0 and then the brackets after.
Sun O.
Yes,
Sun
O.
with 2 ends and O and brackets.
Yes.
Damn, I didn't know they released a new one.
Yeah, I haven't
They're
listened
kind
to
of
it.
tough to get into sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried a few times to kind of get into them, and I don't know if it's just been not the right scenario. Because some like I use work as a good platform for me to listen to music, and yeah, just bands like that who are more experimental, and even though they're kind of stoner / doom kind of ambient, they're still quite experimental, and there's very noisy, incoherent type parts. So when you're listening to that at work, it just, I don't know, it doesn't get me in the mood or something.
No, I couldn't see that being an album or a band, sorry, that it would get you into the mood for work.
I don't know, man. Yeah, so it's good to know that they did put something out.
I would definitely need something more fast-paced and upbeat, something to follow along with if I'm working. What I am looking forward to is the releases this week.
What's happening this week?
Danko Jones, a Rock Supreme.
Man, I got to pre-order that. I'm going to be a super nerd and pre-order.
Well, you've got
on
like
Instagram, he showed the unboxing of the super deluxe mega version. I don't know if it's actually called that, but it's an actual box, huge box set with liner notes and all this other cool, neat stuff.
awesome.
I'll probably pre-order vinyl just because I'm a nerd like that.
You nerd.
Super hipster.
Such a hipster.
God,
Can't believe it.
right? Where's
Good on
my
you,
flannel,
though.
bro?
Yeah, where is your flannel?
I don't wear flannel.
Not yet.
It's too on the nose.
It's too hipster.
Yeah.
You just like the vinyl.
Yeah, exactly. Vinyl and the coffee and the craft beer. That's right. I'm good with that.
That's a good combo, absolutely.
What else is coming out?
I've got a whole bunch of Canadian bands releasing stuff.
Nice.
Ravenous, who's going to be here on Friday, actually, playing
Oh.
here, is releasing a new album on Friday, which is kind of neat.
CD release party. Woot, woot.
Yeah, that's really neat, actually. And then a whole bunch of obscure bands that I've never heard of, but I'm going to check out. Smolder, Ossuir, Zom, and Isfin. Never heard of any of them, but they're all releasing new albums,
Crazy.
and they're all Canadian.
Well, that's very cool.
Yeah, and that's a huge mix of like black, psychedelic doom, power, and more black and doom. So it looks like it's going to be a very doomy and blacky kind of weekend for me
I can dig it.
while I'm probably working.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've been listening to. I found this industrial metal act called Three Teeth, stylized as the number 3 with no space between 3 teeth. They definitely strike a chord with like early White Zombie and Ministry kind of sounds. So it's cool to hear a new industrial band kind of picking up that torch. So that's what I've been jamming out to quite a bit recently. I think I found them because they did a song collaboration with a hip-hop artist called Horror.
Okay.
Horror stylized with the R's replaced with 9s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like HO9909. I don't understand it myself, but it kind of goes into that metal trapcore.
Oh, yeah.
kind of thing.
Here comes the trapcore.
So I definitely have kind of gone down that path a little bit.
You did.
So Horror is one of them. That kind of like scream rap, I think, is also another title for that particular subgenre of hip hop.
And how is it?
I like the horror. There's also another dude called Ghost Main. It's really teeters that heavy metal and hip hop line. Like it's so that line is so blurred between the two different subgenres. And I think he's probably one of the better ones. Like those two guys are probably cream of the crop.
Okay.
When it comes to the mix of the two subgenres. So through that, Horror did a collab with Three Teeth and led to Three Teeth. I also listened to that one metal / computer based person that you sent me.
Oh, yeah.
They just released a new album too, I think.
They did. Yeah, I have it here. It's called
It's just one guy or something, and it's all
Master Boot Record.
Yes, Master Boot Record. Funny enough, Three Teeth, their last album, all the song titles are similar to Master Boot Record, where it's some kind of computer-related
Like a file name.
file name or command code or something that you have to be pretty nerdy to realize that, and I guess
Pretty much, yeah.
that is me.
But so what do you think of Master Boot Record?
For the most part, I like it. I think because he's running everything on computer, that the downstrokes, like because he's using a MIDI patch for the guitar, it doesn't sound as real, which is kind of the novelty of it too.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that it was like you listen to it and it's obviously like not full on metal, but when the guitars kick in, you're like, okay, so it doesn't totally sound like organic guitars, but it still suits what's actually going on.
Yeah. So instead of a pass or a riff normally played by a human being would sound with alternate picking, as a guitar player or someone who listens to this kind of music, I think the listener would know what alternate picking sounds like versus not all but downstrokes. Slayer, for example, they're notorious for their downstroke only or downstroke all the time type thing.
I think Metallica does that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a herald of thrash metal, as many downstrokes as possible, but just because it's the MIDI patch, it sounds a little. It adds to that artificialness, which I'm on the fence whether or not I like it or I don't like it. I think there's certain parts that definitely are like, that's actually sounds cool because it's not human.
Sounds different, and it creates a different like atmosphere that you would normally hear with more traditional music or metal or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. I've also been listening to Author and Punisher. So I've been listening to a lot of like really electronic leaning metal lately.
Yeah.
So Author and Punisher is actually a full electronic act. There's no live guitars, there's no live instrumentation at all. But he's signed to like Nuclear Blast. Oh no, sorry, Relapse Records.
Wow.
And I think I showed a video with you.
This is the guy who's got all the gears and mechanisms that he twists and turns and pulls and pushes.
So he's an engineer, and he's fabricated his own controllers to control his laptop.
Wasn't it something like he didn't want to just push a button on stage and play the music, but he
Push
wanted
play.
to have a little bit of a show to it?
Yeah, and it has added quite a physical element to his performance. So there's a few different videos, and I'm not sure which one I showed you, but for example, for one of these controllers, he has a potentiometer, so just like a spinning mechanism, and right on top, instead of it having like a little dial, he uses a really large piece of steel that is the radius of like 8 inches. So there's actually weight to it. So the faster he spins it, the louder it gets, or the high, or it increases in pitch or something, or whatever he may have it programmed to do. So I think the aesthetic looks really cool. The fact that he builds everything himself is also super cool, and it's pretty droney and heavy.
It is.
And it's all sine wave stuff. So,
And it's I've seen a couple of the videos that you sent me, and it's really cool to watch too when he's performing on stage with everything that he's doing. And it's not like your traditional show either, because he's literally just pulling dials or turning dials and pulling levers and things like that. And everybody's really into it as well.
yeah.
And the music is super interesting. Listening to it is like, holy shit, I can't believe that he's making
Yeah.
those kind of sounds and doing what he's doing with the music.
It's really odd. It's really odd to have that, instead of us talking about metal with tinges of other influences, this is like EDM that borderlines into metal. So it's kind of like across a different way. And he's doing it relatively well. And the album came out maybe a couple months ago. And I listened to the previous album quite a bit since discovering that first video, and I went back and listened to all of his catalog. So I like the most recent and the one before that the most.
Okay, do you feel like he's getting better? Like the music is the quality of the music is getting better?
A little bit. I think sometimes his writing can be almost a little juvenile, comparatively speaking to other people within the industrial element. But it's kind of hard to hold that subgenre to be completely serious. Like, it's hard to take Ministry completely serious because they definitely step into the cheese a whole bunch of times. So I'm a little more forgiving to that by just kind of keeping that in mind. As much as I love Nine Inch Nails, like, they can be pretty friggin' cheesy with the lyric content and stuff. So kind of just take it with a grain of salt that way, and just really appreciate the whole thing altogether.
Listen to it for what it is and appreciate what it is and the art that the gentleman is creating.
Yeah. So one other thing that I just discovered yesterday, because it was a related video on YouTube. I tend to actually click on videos that are suggested to me just because discover really cool stuff. I want to get it right. I think they're a Maryland hardcore punk band called Negro Terror.
Okay.
And I don't know why the video's gone viral, or at least it's being linked to people like myself. And this is like really crappy. I went to check them out on Facebook and stuff, and their lead guitar player, bass player, died the day before.
Oh my God.
So they were about to release their second album. Actually, they released an EP and were about to release their first full length. They're a 3-piece all black hardcore band.
Oh yeah, okay.
And yeah, the lead singer, his name is Omar, tragically passed away a few days ago.
Wow. R.I.P. That's sad, man.
Yeah, totally, because I just wanted to get into it a little bit more, and I was like, oh, well, damn.
Wow. And that literally happened like a few days ago from now.
That
Or a few days ago.
2 days ago.
Wow.
I discovered them 2 days ago. Yes, 2 days ago, and their singer had died the day before that.
Wow. Sorry to hear that.
I know. It's so frustrating.
That
so
is.
I messaged the band and just said, like, whenever they're about to release a whole bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
merchandise and CDs and whatever. So I will definitely be picking up, at least a physical copy of their album and a T-shirt or two or something, just kind of show them support that way.
Absolutely, man. Got to show them some love and support.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, other than that, I mean, that's pretty much what's been happening with me for music
Okay.
for the last little bit.
I've been, I wanted to mention, because you were mentioning the techno and the EDM stuff.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a lot of dungeon synth lately.
Dungeon synth?
Yes. It's like
Doom synth or something?
It's like synthesized neo-folk music. Like, literally, when you listen to it, you feel like you're in a dungeon.
Oh, okay. So like a Warcraft 2 soundtrack?
Kind of.
Or like a Diablo 2. It's not live instrumentation,
What
but...
is it? I can see my house.
Yeah. Oh,
Dub.
man.
Yeah, there's one called Bellkeeper, and I've been listening to it nonstop, and it's like, it literally is like medieval music. And when you put it on, it transforms where you are into sounding like medieval times.
That's hilarious.
It's really neat, really interesting, and I highly recommend people check it out. Dungeon synth is like an offshoot of black metal, because black metal, when it started out, and like in the 90s, it had like, most black metal bands would include synthesized intros or even entire tracks. Like Burzum had entire albums that were synthesized medieval music.
Yeah.
Because Bard couldn't have the keyboard, or he could only have a keyboard when he was in prison, so he would play and create synthesized music. And so that kind of created or spawned dungeon synth.
Interesting.
And so, like, on Bandcamp now, there's like, when you search dungeon synth as a tag, there's tons of bands that play, or I guess one person that creates all these albums, and it's really, really interesting stuff.
Crazy, man.
Yeah.
What's with all this EDM stuff as of late, eh? That's just
I don't know.
creeping in.
It always makes me think of that episode of Rick and Morty where Jerry is driving down the street listening to music that's like bloop, bloop, blop, bloop, bloop, and they're like, this is human music. And he's like, I like this. And it's just beeps and blops.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, boy.
Hi, Cole. We're recording a podcast right here.
Yeah.
All right.
You want to come sit down with us?
No. So, have you been looking into the Napster thing? I want to carry on this. I've actually been using Napster for the last week.
Is that mic turned on?
Yeah, it's turned on.
There you go, man. You got yourself a microphone as well.
Oh, I don't know.
Go for it.
So, because we were a few weeks ago, the bands were complaining about, or local musicians were complaining about Spotify not sharing enough profits.
Yeah.
And then through a little research, there was an image or graphic saying that Napster shares the most money.
Yeah,
so I
I
went
seen
ahead
that
and
image.
signed up for Napster.
Yeah.
And it's owned by Rhapsody, or is a partnership with Rhapsody, which I don't know if you remember as Real Player Audio.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Something like that. I remember that name.
So I found that partnership kind of interesting. In terms of accessibility for music, it's pretty average.
Yep.
I definitely really like the Spotify interface, the user interface. The Napster one's not so great. For example, first thing I looked up was Limp Bizkit. of course.
Of course.
But for some reason, there's multiple entries for albums.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Is this on?
It is
It is
on.
Don't do that, otherwise we will unplug
I
it.
play in a band with Terrence, and actually
Dude,
I roast
used
him all
to.
the time. about
You're
this,
out of the band
but-
now.
You're out of the band.
Oh. What did I do?
I don't know. You dropped out of life.
What didn't I do?
What
I
haven't
think
you
is the
done?
question.
Back to anyway. I haven't found a full. I'm not converted. I'm not convinced that it's an actual viable replacement for Spotify. The one thing I do like in a very small aspect. For example, Henry Rollins and Rollins Band is not. You can't find it on Spotify at all.
Mm-hmm.
Either he's blocked them from licensing his music, which he's come out very openly and said that he doesn't support streaming services in general.
Yeah.
So the available tracks on there is quite minimal on Spotify. I mean, I think it's the song Ghost Rider off of the Crow soundtrack is pretty much the only song that's on Spotify.
Oh, wow.
So I naturally looked him up on Napster just to see if they had what would pull up, and sporadic songs, but nothing from any of the major albums. They're more like the B-side albums or side B-sides to singles, which, I mean, take it if I get it, I suppose. I wish I could had more access, but that's the only real positive. Other than that, interface is not that really great.
I agree. Oh, go ahead.
For me,
Yeah.
without any of the streaming, more or less, the Napster was kind of what broke everything. But if you didn't have that, then a lot of us wouldn't be here at all doing any of this, because you're able to discover new bands so simply. And like bands like Dragon Force came from like mp3.com, and they were discovered off of the internet and streaming and downloads. And if it wasn't for that, then you would have none of this flood of new musicians looking at stuff like black metal and stuff. And it was all available through streaming. So you have to look at it like that some way. Me personally, I still enjoy the nostalgia of opening an album and going through the artwork and all of that. Like, I prefer to buy physical copies.
Yeah.
But for me personally, also, I go on iTunes and I buy the albums. I don't just stream off Spotify. I actually purchase albums. And I have dozens, if not hundreds, of albums on my phone that I use all the time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And I use Spotify like religiously, and I have joined Napster when you recommended it because it's 3 months for $1.
Yeah, so
And I agree. The interface, at first I was like, oh, wow, this looks really nice. And I'm going to click around and see what's going on or tap around. And eventually I found out that the interface is not very easy to navigate.
no, not really.
Not a lot of the newer albums are on there. A lot, maybe some older ones. And of course, I'm going through mostly metal bands. I find that a lot of the features are nice, like being able to go through your history and see everything that you've listened to. Because like Spotify will eventually erase and start showing
Yeah,
you
they
the
only
more
keep
recent.
12 or something like that.
Yeah, and Napster will show you everything you've listened to.
To preface this, Cole, we're not talking about Napster 19 years ago. We're talking about Napster right now.
As a streaming
Oh, I
service.
didn't even know there was a
Yeah,
fresh
you just
one.
because you just happen to walk in right when we're
But
doing
like,
something else.
so speaking to what I was saying earlier, you know personally some of my closest friends, and if it wasn't for things like MySpace and stuff like that,
Oh, of course.
I would not know these people.
Yep.
Some of them would not have been in my wedding party and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm, like
And-
thankful for streaming on one hand, but artists should be compensated.
Oh, definitely. And
That's
Thoroughly,
also a
yeah.
reason why we were trying out Napster, because according to this paper or article that I saw, Napster is the one that pays the artist the most. So we thought, why not give it a shot? Because they're top of the heap, and I can't remember who was second, and it was like not even a close second.
Yeah.
Like,
it wasn't even.
so
it
why
wasn't
not?
even-
We just thought of giving a little experiment and try it out.
I'm not sold on it yet. There
I'm
are a
not
few
sold.
features that I enjoy, but I'm not sold. I mean, I'll stick with the 3 months and see how it goes, and I'll follow it. And I would easily jump over if they make it a little bit easier to use, like Spotify is, but not sold right now.
Yeah, my girlfriend uses Google Play
Yep.
for music, and that interface is easier to navigate than
Yeah.
the Napster one.
Yep.
the Napster playlists aren't really that great either. And when you first sign up with your accounts, you're given like 5 different musical choices to choose from. But I can't figure out any way of going back to change those.
Mm-hmm.
I've been through the user settings a number of times, but I just can't seem to relocate that. And because I clicked on hip hop as one of my 5 categories, but it's only giving me super mainstream hip hop that I don't give 2 poops about. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll go back, change it to something else. And yeah, I don't know how to fix that or change it. And that's annoying.
I think for myself, I'm going to stick with Bandcamp for buying albums and music, and then Spotify for streaming. And I'll jump back and forth, but I see Spotify still being my main go-to.
Well, and again, to bring up that article that we saw, it really is not the lesser of evils.
Mm-hmm.
It was like number 4 or 5 on that list, with YouTube being a terrible, terrible, terrible dead last.
Yeah.
So if I don't understand anybody who's going to put a song up on YouTube and that be okay with that, be okay with not receiving any kind of compensation, and then putting their music up on a platform like Spotify and not getting the same kind of...
And that's super sad because YouTube is a video streaming service. So, like, that's where the music videos and the lyric videos are.
Yeah,
so you'd
exactly.
think that because they put the art up there of the music video with the visual effects as well, that it would pay more. But it doesn't.
Yeah. I don't really know exactly how YouTube comes up with that money to pay the artists. Like, I don't know if it's because of ads or I don't know. I don't know enough about it to really have a proper opinion on it. But it does suck that it's dead last. So, I mean, if you're an indie band, just use DistroKid. That's a service that a lot of bands are using, and that puts it all to all the platforms. And
that's one that just networks it out to everywhere. I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, it puts it all to all the major ones.
Yeah,
so
you don't have to go and do it yourself to each one. Well, we need is a platform that pays an actual good number to the artists instead of just sucking up all the profits for themselves.
I'm gonna look it up. Like,
'Cause
that was supposed to be Tidal. Do you know what Tidal is?
Tidal? I've never heard of Tidal. No.
Tidal. That's what Tidal was supposed to be, and that ranked kind of low too.
Wow. It's supposed to be like that, and it still ranks low? Like, come on. Without these artists, they don't even have a platform.
The thing with Tidal, I think it's owned and operated by Jay-Z or one of his companies.
Oh,
so
okay.
he has gotten exclusive rights to certain artists such as Beyonce and other prominent hip-hop R&B artists.
So is it more hip-hop then than anything else, or is it...
I don't know of any rock bands who have signed up for exclusive things with Tidal.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Well, it is what it is, I guess.
I suppose, yeah. And I mean, it's just kind of funny where that was supposed to be anticipated or expected to be for the artists, and it doesn't rate that well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, even Napster doesn't rate that well when you ask anybody, really, that creates music.
It does. I think it gets the worst rep out of all of the services. Like, that's what really brought it forward on that infographic, was just...
Well, everybody still thinks that Napster is like, sharing music without, illegally, right? Without giving any profits at all. Well, I mean, as you just seen there.
Yeah, I'm just going to see if I can pull that thing up, because that was really interesting.
Yeah, Napster bought Rhapsody. And they even, like, when you Google them, it even says, what did it say here? Same digital music service, 100% legal.
Oh, God.
And it's funny, when the whole Napster thing was happening with Metallica being the dicks that they were at the time.
But were they, though?
Well,
yes and no.
Well, yeah, okay, yes and no. The argument is that they got famous from tape trading. People would duplicate their tapes, their singles and their demos, and their first album, Kill Them All. and copy the tapes, duplicate them, and share them with their friends so they would find the music. Okay?
Right.
And then Napster came along where people around the world on the internet, in the digital world, could share that music and find new bands, but the band wasn't making a profit. The bands were not making a profit anyways in the tape trading. They were,
Right.
but people would become fans and come to the shows and buy merchandise and pay tickets to see them play live, and eventually buy their newer albums that come out. So it's kind of like building a base, a fan base for free that then would eventually become profitable over time.
Yeah, isn't it kind of funny in how when they're not making a whole lot of money off of their music, they didn't care on how it was shared, but then they get to a point where, and the thing is, Metallica had one of the most unique and record deals out of any other bands out there. They actually had the most stake, or they received the most money from selling a single copy. So that's why they were so adamant about it, because it felt like they felt like the money was coming directly out of their pocket. I'm not exactly defending them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of trying to do my best to try to show that they have a side to it as well. There's also stuff happening back then too, which happens less now, but album leaks were a massive thing back then.
It was.
So that was another major thing that was going on.
We'd be talking like months before the album was even released legally. It would be online.
Yeah, Steal This Album from System of a Down. The reason why it's called Steal This Album, like they scrapped all of their artwork and everything because somebody from that recording studio apparently stole a copy and uploaded it.
And then, that stuff didn't even matter after that, right?
Yeah.
Because you buy the album and it was literally a jewel case with a CD in it that said "Steal This Album" on top of it.
I liked how they turned it around.
I damn well bought that album.
Yeah. Yeah, of course we downloaded it. Oh, and this is kind of funny too. A few weeks ago, 2 weekends ago, I was driving, hired to be a driver for a music festival.
Ooh.
And one of my pickups, one of the artists that I was picking up, was the drum and bass DJ Pendulum. And we ended up having a really awesome conversation about punk and all this other stuff. And so to go back to the leaked album stuff, he just happened to start talking about it and mentioning Soul Seek. Do you remember Soul Seek?
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
like the predecessor, two or three generations after Napster. Anyway, he said that he was one of the first people to upload fake tracks. He would go and start off with like the first 5 seconds, the legitimate track, and then throw some other music. And he said that he would use grindcore, or black metal or something, and just troll people who are trying to find lead copies of his
Like
albums.
the original Rick Roll.
Totally. I thought that was really
Well, I don't know if that was me. I'd be like, fuck yeah, I'm totally into this. But yeah, and that actually did happen. Or they would release, like the promos would have during the chorus of the song would say, "This is a promo. Please buy a copy of the album," or whatever. Yeah. I don't know how I know that, but I just do know that.
Yeah, I remember that happening too when some of the stuff that I was trying to also illegally obtain. It's just kind of a brown stain in the music industry, just trying to figure out how to navigate the new technology.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just the technology was almost more advanced than the culture itself. And right now, we're seeing a leveling out. It's not perfect yet, but it's taken almost 20 years.
Yeah, and it's like the technology is created, and then the human mind has to catch up and figure out what to do with it.
Yeah, here's a free platform to do whichever you like.
Yeah.
And those who can take advantage of it do, and it benefited us when we're looking for certain stuff. But
Sure.
what we've done, I know I'm kind of speaking for you, but we're both using these things and as platforms to discover new music and then go out and buy it. So
Yeah.
at least we still have that appreciation for supporting the artist in some small contribution of buying the album or buying merch or something.
Absolutely. I always try every time I find a band that I enjoy and I stream it. And I've done this all the way back, like you said, speaking for the both of us. I did this all the way back to Napster.
Right.
Going, oh, I quite enjoy this. I'm going to go to A&B Sound and order it to come in for, a crazy price. But
Yeah.
that's beside the point. I'm going to order it in because I appreciate them and I want to have a copy of that for myself. And even now when we have, millions of songs streaming on our phones directly into our ears, I'm still going to Bandcamp or coming here to the shows and doing what I can to support them.
I think Bandcamp is probably one of the best examples of the technology being used correctly, because at least it's the bands who are in control of the type of music or the music that's being uploaded, and it gives people most of the time the option to pay or download for free depending on what the band decides. And that can't be any improved any more than it really can.
Yeah.
Just gives you the option. Do you want to pay for it? No, then just stream it, or throw people a couple bucks, the price of a coffee, essentially, and get downloaded high resolution copies of it. So,
And I like that it does, like, if you stream it too much, it says, okay, now it's time to donate because, you've streamed it 10 times in a row.
totally.
Yeah, and then you can, like it said, sometimes it's $10 and sometimes it's name your price. And that's great. You appreciate it, throw a few dollars their way. Albums nowadays online are like $10, which is a far cry from what it used to be.
It's so fine. It's so reasonable. Like, I don't understand why some people would just completely cheap out and not at least purchase some of the stuff. I get that it's overwhelming. If a person were to actually buy everything, yeah, you'd probably go broke.
I couldn't
But
imagine.
Just pick and choose the
Yep.
stuff, and
Oh, yeah, and if you stream it on, like, one of the services, they're getting a little bit of money anyways. So if you stream the album 10 times in a day on Spotify, they're going to get 1 penny.
yeah. Actually, this is a funny thing.
I laugh, but
is-
it's like a really sad laugh.
I don't know how long ago this was, but there was a band. I would like to say that they're from Helsinki or something like that, but they found a workaround Spotify's how Spotify rates songs or keeps tracks of songs to pay bands, and they've corrected this error or this glitch in their system, so it no longer exists. So a band can't do it anymore. Anyway, what they did is they uploaded an album that was just silence,
Okay.
really short. It wasn't very, like, the album itself wasn't very long and the tracks weren't very long. Then they then asked all of their fans to go home, push play, and let the album play the entire time they're sleeping. So Spotify,
Smart, yeah.
Spotify caught on pretty quick, because I guess their analytics or something didn't really add up. I'm like, why are we sending this band money? This is really awkward or weird. But man,
They fooled them.
it fooled them for a little bit. They got a paycheck from it, and kudos to them for
Yeah,
figuring that
totally. And then Spotify fixed it, and now it doesn't
Yeah.
work anymore.
out. Yeah, so unfortunately, they squashed that. Can't do it anymore.
That's pretty funny, and that's smart, too, to cheat the system like that if you can find that loophole.
True. So it doesn't exist anymore. Boo.
Oh, that's too bad.
But it sure makes a funny story.
'Cause I was just going to announce my new album. That was, 30 seconds of silence, but damn, I'll have to just hold on to
Or
that
just
then.
have white noise. Yeah.
Yeah, man, whale sounds and white noise.
I don't know who
obviously.
wish I could remember who they were. And I would like to know how big that paycheck was. Like, was it just a check of $500? And someone at Spotify's like,
silence.
this band shouldn't get $500.
Yeah, the guy listens to it and they're like, no.
Like, why?
I'm not going to pay him $500 for silence. While the CEO makes millions.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
And we're back.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're back. We took a little pee break.
We did, yeah.
We didn't go to the bathroom together.
But we probably should have.
Actually, I didn't go at all. I just thought about it.
Just looked at the toilet.
And then you went.
And then I went. I have soiled underwear on at all
Stage
times.
fright? You got a little stage fright?
Yeah, I do get stage fright. I am a shy public pooper. I have a hard time pooping in public, especially if their stalls are beside another person, and I'm about to have my movement, and then the stall door beside me blasts open, and a guy rips his pants down and goes.
I got no problem.
I can't do it. I stop.
No problem pooping in public. I can lay a coiler right here on the table for you if you want.
Spring is not here. Spring is not here. I'm done. I'm gonna go. I'll suffer for the next hour.
So then what about like rocking a piss beside somebody at a urinal?
That is sometimes difficult.
I do find that kind of difficult sometimes, especially if you're standing right beside somebody.
No, man, you just got to pull down your pants just around your ankle or like around your knees and put your hands on the wall and lean into it.
Oh,
After you do that once, you'll never be afraid of peeing in public again.
okay. That's sound advice from Jesse.
Hands on the wall.
Hi,
Having
Jesse.
your ass hanging out.
What are you doing with that? Oh, okay. Well,
Fuck, we really are west of hell right now.
Hey, it smells like our tour bus in here. What the hell happened?
Yeah, at the end of a tour, I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah.
well, we have some hooligans here. Val just stuck the microphone in his butt and farted on it, and he's the one that has to talk into it. So,
Very, very Canadian hooligan.
well, I think you can just.
Share it around right now. It's going global, right?
Yeah, man.
So, what's happening with you in West of Hell?
Well, we're just in the last leg of a coast-to-coast Canadian tour. Not actual, to the other coast. We went as far as Quebec City, then turned around.
That's not coast, though.
And it was pretty rad, you know. The response is awesome, and people are digging it. It's gone to number 4 on the college metal charts.
Awesome.
I was
That's
pretty
very
stoked
cool.
about that. You know, putting on big shows in little rooms.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new album is rocking. I'm really enjoying it. Just do it nonstop the last week.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm
It
looking
was,
forward to tonight.
quite a procedure to get her done.
Yeah.
You know, because we lost a guitar player, and that was musical chairs for guitar players. We lost our original drummer. He was deported to New Zealand.
Damn.
Ash Pearson from Revocation of 3 Inches of Blood stepped up and did the studio tracks.
Oh, nice.
But then
Nice.
just after that, Revocation fully scooped him up, so he wasn't going to be in the project. So
Yeah.
now we have a guy. His name is Paul Drummond on the drums. He named
Very nice.
after drums. Yes.
Wow,
Paul
yeah.
Drummond.
Very fitting.
And then the guitar professor Chris Schultz stepped up to fill guitar number 2.
Very nice, dude. Sorry to hear all the bandmate troubles just before finishing. Was it finishing the album that you had difficulty? Or
yeah,
oh, man.
tracking the last, just getting her done.
Did any of that adversity kind of give you fuel, give you a fire to finish the album?
Ash's style is very sort of progressive and tech inspired. You know, he's a machine. And then Chris Schultz's style is how could I put it? A bit prog, a bit schooled. You know,
Yep.
but the man
Sophisticated.
But the man has a ferocious right hand on the guitar, so it added to our sound. You know, it evolved from a sort of a power metal place to something completely different.
Yeah, it seems a bit more on the technical end of it because you guys are always teetering that thrash. Your vocals are very distinct. Like,
Yeah.
it's impossible for me to. If I were to hear your track on any kind of song, I know right away that it is you. I
Yeah.
think you have
It definitely is. Yeah.
Yeah,
It has that
it is.
personality. Absolutely.
So it is cool to have like the rest of the music kind of evolve and stuff too.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, we're really looking forward to getting in the studio and working on number 3. We're playing a track from the as of yet unrecorded new record on tour.
Right on.
Okay. Awesome.
When will do you guys have physical copies ready for
Yeah,
prints
we got
and stuff?
physical copies of Blood of the Infidel here with us tonight,
Right on, dude.
and of course available on all the online outlets. Spotify, CD Baby, and iTunes, all that.
Neat. We were just talking about streaming services. What do you use to get your music out there? Is it a DistroKid, or do you use some kind of one-stop shop type thing?
We're sort of independent, and it's like whoever will service us the best is who we'll go with. We might move around. I honestly don't do the business. So I just get in the bus and fart a lot. So
Yes, we definitely know you fart a lot.
We do.
It's like a never-ending stream of air.
yeah, that's right.
It's like a true Zimmer's hole.
True result, yeah, right? Nice seg there, Eric.
Yeah.
What's new with you, Jesse?
So all sorts of new stuff. Odinfist just released a track today. Chaos Reign, Silent Screams, for a concept album that we're putting out. Armstrong is just released. Well, we released the full lineup, and we're going full steam ahead with that.
Awesome.
Tickets are selling really well for it.
Great job on Necro Goblicon.
Oh my god. Necro Goblicon is like one of the biggest that I had to fight so hard in the council. They were like, it's a joke band, nobody's gonna get it. And I'm like, no, it's not a joke. Fucking Welcome to Bonkers is a real album that I listen to all the time.
John's a joke.
John is a joke.
Goblicon, he's the joke.
He's the
But
joke
the band
of the
is
band. Yes,
sick.
but it's just it's fantastic, and the fact that like they're so well received by everybody just makes me so happy. I was like, thank God, maybe my word will start fucking carrying some weight in the council room. Like,
Yeah, it was a couple of weeks ago, and it's the same thing with like YouTube. I don't know. I must have listened to some band that linked Necro Goblicon. I played it. I thought it was hilarious. I fell down the rabbit hole. I watched a few more things. Realized that this goblin's an actual character that they cart around.
oh
I'm
man,
like, Eric,
it's
you gotta check this out.
100% real thing, man. Oh, I want to like try to work it into their contract somehow. It's already signed, but it's like I want to work it in so they have to play Magic Spider. Yeah,
Sure you can
I
do
think
it.
it's just something that I really want to do.
Have you seen his little show that he puts on right now?
Who, John? No, I
Yeah.
have not.
Yeah, they're fairly short. They're about 5-minute episodes, but he has somebody come on, and I just recommend it. Just
Yeah,
it's a good time.
but no, those are all the things that are kind of new with me. I'm really excited to release the new Odinfist album. That's going to be sweet. I wrote a short story for it. Everything. It's ridiculous. Kind of went over and above. That short story isn't like about 30,000 words.
Jeez, that's not a short story, dude.
Yeah. Yeah,
Full
there's
concept
two
album?
clans, and there's a clan on the top of the mountain, a clan on the bottom of the mountain. The clan on the top of the mountain dams the river, and blames it on drought.
Oh,
and
nice.
They kind of go to war over it.
And what made you think of this story? Like, what was the catalyst for it all?
Canada and U.S., man. Canada's got
Awesome.
the fresh water. Like we gotta hold on to that shit, or like, stop these potential bypassing of the lower regions right to the next guys down. It could be fresh water is one of the things that I think that wars will be over one day if we don't watch it.
What James Bond movie was that?
Is that a James Bond movie?
Yeah, Spectre. Yeah, Quantum of Solace.
Yeah, Quantum of Solace.
That was all about privatization of water in some country, and it's actually the worst of all the Daniel Craig James Bond movies, believe it or not. But yeah,
It's worth checking out for the concept album. Absolutely, yeah.
it's really poignant because it's not just water as our resource that's being shipped down. I mean, that whole Nestle beverages contract is just unbelievable.
They make billions off of pennies, man.
Right, and so and it's it also to do with our lumber and other stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely does.
So what's inspiring you with your lyrics this time around, Val?
Well, as usual, West of Hell, we sort of write about the drinking and the human condition, but not in the same song,
Farting?
right? No, that's a
It's all metaphor for
that's
farting.
a different band. It's a different band with a far stinkier frontman in that band. But we're really addressing a lot of the stuff that's happening in the world. You know, I mean, the title track of the record, "Infidels," addresses the religious extremists and how one man can be so savage to another man in the name of God, and all of the all of our popular religions, the Sons of Abraham, of Christians and the Jews and the Muslims, they're all guilty of this in these ancient texts, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, we live in a world where I don't think that these teachings are being properly interpreted for the modern world, and it's just when the Eagles of Death metal show in Paris got hit by these guys, and that became personal for me. It was like, well, now music fans and entertainers, we're targets in your political shitstorm. This is like, I know just by writing the song, I put a target on my head. But it's, as a musician, it's your duty to make commentary on humanity, and I just decided to take it full on, right? And it's no way is it anti-Muslim sentiment or anything hatred-based, but man, takes these beliefs and twists them to their own political gain, and it's so far from the original inception of that teaching. I mean, I'm not a man of faith, so this sort of really pisses me off, right? And I felt it had to be addressed, and that's what the title track is about.
Yeah, sure. Whether you're faithful or not, it affects your life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what happens?
It's unacceptable.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. Yeah, and it shouldn't be that way.
For any faith,
unfortunately,
faith to use. Essentially, I guess faith is fear-based. You're afraid of death, and this is the way you should live your life to guarantee a peaceful eternity. And those believers are being shafted, and that's like it fills me with endless rage. I could write 4 albums about it. It's just pisses me off.
Where does this endless rage come from?
My bollocks.
Your bollocks. Were you? Is this where the Lord
should have been able to
Heathen?
guess that.
Was this where the Lord
Where does
Heathen
your rage
character comes from?
Huh? Where does your rage come from?
My rage?
Yes.
I'm just an angry person.
He's just angry
I'm
Terrence.
just angry. Angry Terrence. Everyone knows it. Just
Anger's good, man. Anger motivates us.
I'm
It's just bottled in.
yeah, I'm pretty cool, calm, collected on the outside, but inside it's rage of fire and just waiting for the first person to. Yeah, it's Kelowna traffic, exactly. And it's only going to get worse because it's getting nicer.
Kelowna's just a freaking one giant strip mall. Seriously, and you drive from store to store instead of walk.
So you guys recorded one music video for the new album?
4.
Four.
We've got 4 videos for actually 5, I think,
Wow.
Holy crap.
for that album. Yeah, we
That's
got
rad.
5 music videos up for Infidels right now. Sorry? We got 5 music videos up, don't we?
4.
Hammer in Hand.
Hammer in Hand, Chrome Eternal. Hammer in Hand, Chrome Eternal, Infidels, and The Machine just came out a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
And we also released a live video from our Mexican tour.
Very cool. Oh,
we
yeah.
did
How did
tour
that
Mexico.
go? I totally forgot you guys made it all the way.
It was,
Yeah, sit down.
It was really incredible,
Join us.
man. I mean, the Mexican people have a really big heart, and they really get behind heavy metal. You
Yeah,
know,
they love
and
metal.
I mean, publicizing anything in a foreign country is a difficult thing. So, admittedly, the first couple shows were a little skinny, right? But they were so welcoming, and they would all have their cell phones out and stream it live. So, as we continued touring, the audiences got better and better and better, and until we're playing to capacity crowds, right?
Right on. How did you guys actually get hooked up with that tour down there?
A friend of mine, Twan Holiday, sings for a band called Saints of Death, and he's sort of been wanting to do this forever. And I know Mayo, the promoter in Vancouver, who promotes like most of the good metal in Van. He's Mexican, so it was like, hey, bro,
Okay, so
how do we tour Mexico? And he sort of he laid it.
Simple as that. All right, so all the bands out there, meet a Mexican.
A Mexican promoter.
A Mexican pro.
Invisible Orange.
Yeah.
The Invisible Orange. And then he turned us on to a guy in Mexico that put the tour together.
That is so awesome.
Oh, that's
Rad.
great. Yeah. Yeah, and very successful too.
I would say it was a learning experience. We didn't lose our shirts, but I'm not buying a new home.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course.
All right?
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was,
Yeah.
Tacos and tequila, like, come on.
Can't go wrong with that.
Did anyone drink the water? I made the mistake for about a half a glass of water. We're at one bar. We were just, eating right before the show, kind of as we are right now, actually, here at Munins. Yeah. But I for some reason I just forgot, and I was like, oh, can I just get a glass of water? Gives me a glass of water. I take a sip, sit down next to Paul, drummer, right? I sit down and he's just looking at me like, "What are you, nuts?" And I'm like looking at my tacos and I'm like, "What? I like them spicy." And he's looking at the glass of water, right? And "What are you, nuts?" And I didn't know what he was talking about. And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I'm fucking crazy. I'm a madman, dude." He just "Don't do it, bro." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing it," right? And I didn't know what he was talking about. And then he was like. And then I realized he was talking about the water, and I was like, "Oh shit!" But fortunately, I'd only had a couple of sips, and it didn't hit me. I got sick later in the trip, but it wasn't from that cup of water. I was from hard street tacos at 2 a.m. and drinking.
Oh man.
Well worth it.
What other crazy stories do you guys have from that little trip besides almost drinking water?
There's an open air heavy metal flea market festival in Mexico City called El Chopo, and it is like fucking 4 acres of tents and tables and vendors that are selling CDs and band merch and banners and metal gauntlets and pre-patched up metal vests. Like,
wow.
Yeah, have you ever been to a flea market that's just all metal stuff?
That is so cool.
Yeah. Killer.
And the festival itself was, we probably played in front of 5,000 people that day. It was rad as fuck.
Right on, man. So we're just talking about the new album just before you sat down. What was?
Oh, this is
introduce
Jordan
yourself.
here.
Yeah.
Jordan, I just joined the party. I saw these guys sitting around the table. Thought I'd jump on in, inject myself into the situation. Jordan here, base of hell.
Awesome. So what was the? Let me get some of your background, I guess, into the recording of the new album and what influenced you and what drove you to kind of bring forward the music that you guys released not that long ago.
Brought you to Canada.
What brought you to Canada? Or is you not Canadian?
No, So I was one of the original guys from New Zealand that brought the band here, and over the several years of us kicking it off, getting that first album out with Val here, a couple of the guys dropped out and went back to New Zealand, and there was a period of rebuilding the band and having fill-in guys, and a lot of the inspiration for the new album is just came from putting the new group together, and especially getting Chris Schultz in as our new guitarist, right? We had a lot of fill-in guys for touring, and then we were like, well, the rest of us are right, but we were like, okay, the guy that we get to actually step in and become a member, we got to be, find a guy that's got the songwriting too. And we all admired Chris, and we were all friends already. We had toured together. He was playing in Cocaine Mustache when we were playing in West of Hell with a lineup, prior to him being a part of it. So we had to play shows together, and we knew him well. And happened to know that he really dug our band, and Val had played with him in other bands.
It's totally
as well.
ironic, the turn of events, because what happened was West of Hell was in Vancouver as an instrumental band, playing live with no singer. And Chris Schultz was at the Cobalt.
How long ago was this?
This was 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
10 years.
Whoa,
So
Cobalt.
Chris Schultz was at the Cobalt watching these guys play, and he calls me up like, whatever, midnight. I'm sitting at home playing video games or some shit, right? And he's like, dude,
Holds his phone up.
dude, you should sing for this band. And I'm like, how much have you had to fucking drink? What band are you talking about? And you're like, dude, check them out. West of fucking hell. And like, he introduced me to the band 10 years ago.
So then,
and now,
several years later, we're like, okay, Chris is the guy, right? And he was playing in the Stash. That's like a rock and roll band.
Yep.
And all the other members in that band play in other bands. You know, we got multiple members are playing in more than one band, and I'm like, wait a minute.
West of Hell is a fucking super group in its own. Like, you guys have all your own fucking successful projects too, right?
Thanks, buddy. Yeah. But yeah. So with Chris, I was like, oh, wait a minute. He's a metal guy. He writes wicked metal riffs. He's not playing in a metal band right now, so the timing was pretty perfect to scoop him up. And then, yeah, basically, you know, the first song he brought to the table for us was kind of leftover riffs from his Mechanism project that Val was involved in, right?
Yeah.
And then so he brought that in, and we just, you know, chopped it up and went to town on it and turned it into a West of Hell song.
Awesome.
And then I had a couple other songs just waiting, ready to bring to the table, and so the inspiration was kind of all came from the new group of actually having a new lineup. And like, well, what are we going to create now? And it's not going to sound like the first record. It's going to be an evolution of our sound, and we basically were prepared to embrace whatever new direction musically was going to start coming out, and not be like, well, we're not going to recreate the feeling we had for the first record with a different lineup, right? And it's still going on now, right? We're already writing the third record, and we're still trying to make tweaks and hone it in and modernize and do all that kind of stuff. But, you know, that's what it's all about, like stepping into the future. We may have influences from classic metal back, you know, and that's never going to go away, but we're never going to try to sound like a band from the 80s. So.
Do you think those changes with the new band members, was it a concerted effort to actually make it not sound like the previous album,
No.
it was just
No, we
super
just let it
organic?
happen.
Let it happen.
it was
Very
just
cool.
it was just natural. That's the way it happened.
That's awesome, because that kind of chemistry is almost impossible to come by. It's like it may seem convoluted saying it, but it is a fluke by chance. You know, it's like when you got a group of individual-minded people all kind of focusing in on one little thing, and they're able to produce something like what you guys done in the most recent album. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Cheers.
Thanks, bro.
As Jesse casually said, that West of Hell is almost like a supergroup. So fill us in on other projects that you may be part of. That
Well, I guess only
Everybody in the band.
everybody.
well, only now that, yeah, seeing as we've had to scoop up Vancouver members, like the drummer we got now, Paul Drummond, was playing in Harvest the Infection, which was super sick, technical death metal, and Jared from Harvest the Infection has now gone on to be playing in Archspire, and he's killing it, right? And then Chris had Hurt and Mechanism,
And Cocaine Mustache,
Yeah,
and he has his own finger-picking acoustic
'cause-
project that he is a solo act, which is amazing. Check out Chris
crazy.
Schultz; it's amazing. Yeah.
I played in Neck of the Woods for a couple of years.
Awesome.
Helped contribute to writing the Passenger album with them.
They've got roots in Kelowna too, so I know Travis
Yeah.
fairly well. So that's cool. They're coming up here. Are you still good buddies with all those guys?
Absolutely,
Too?
yeah. I was actually, I got to tell you, they've been in the studio recording, and I went to visit them in the studio, and I got to see their new bass player, Ron, laying down some tracks, and, man, he's crushing it. So cool to be there to see him doing that, man. He's written a couple of songs, I believe, for their new stuff. So it was awesome. Got to go in there and throw some high fives around.
That's rad.
Yeah.
And Val, what other projects are you part of?
Well, I've had the long-standing Zimmer Soul.
Who? Who's this band? I don't know.
Never heard of 'em.
Who is this one?
Can we expect a new album anytime?
Absolutely. We've been working on a new record like for years.
Yeah.
But just the nature of everyone in the band. These guys are top drawer players involved with multiple other projects. God, the list is crazy. But Byron and Fear Factory and Gene and and Testament and Death and Death Clock and on for Mr. Hoagland, you know. And Jed was working with Scar the Martyr, Vimic, like a Slipknot side project, right?
It's still Vimic, is it?
Yeah.
Right. They're still kind of working on
Yeah,
stuff,
I don't
but
know what's going on in that world.
Yeah.
But and you know, and then we got our masters back from
rad.
from our record label that we were not getting along with, but they were picked up by Sony, and Sony was like, "Hey, what are you doing with this shit? We'll license it to you for a very small percentage." So we re-released our first 3 records on vinyl, and then we did a show where we played the first 2 records back to back, every single song.
And that show was awesome. Like, thank you for Byron for bringing me out to actually mix that show for you guys. That was such a blast twiddling knobs for you.
Well, thanks, bro.
It was also cool seeing Mr. Wheeler behind the drum kit, the original drummer.
Right?
Wheeler was there, man. Yeah. So
the only missing component, well, of course, was Gene Hoagland, but he's just so busy, and we need to work on a new record. And then Ash Pearson from Revocation also, you know, he also helped out West of Hell and comes from, you know, a lineage like 3 Inches of Blood. I mean, he was a natural, and he was the only drummer that Gene signed off on and said, yeah, this kid can do it.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we did that small little Alberta stint, Edmonton, Calgary, and Ash came out just as a drum tech.
A drum tech. Yeah, well, Gene's his mentor, and that's sort of, you know, they have a relationship, right?
Yeah. And I know Jed is recovering from a shoulder surgery.
Yeah, he had a little bit of shoulder surgery, so he's out for a couple months, but prognosis is 100%, so he'll be back in his game.
I've been harassing him. Stop posting pictures and start writing. So I'm in your court there for getting the new material out. But you guys took quite a bit of a break.
Yeah.
And what was the catharsis to get back together, even try that again? Because I mean, not everyone actually knows who Zimmer's Hole is, but you guys are very theatrical. I mean, to draw a simple analogy would be Gwar, where it's like there's costumes, there's fake, there's prosthetics, there's blood and stuff.
It's a little Gwar, a little Alice Cooper, you know. I mean,
it's a full show. It's a show.
We're sort of a black metal mashup with a sense of humor.
Yeah, Jesse said it's better.
I like Zimmer's Hole's music is better than Gwar.
Of course,
for me.
Well, thanks, man. Thank you. It was just we loved doing that shit, you know, and it had been long enough, and it was like, okay, we have all this freaking material, and we got to finish it, and the label, you know, broke open the vault, and that was the impetus. That was like, yeah, let's fire this shit up again.
Right on, man. We're stoked for it. So, like I said, I've been harassing the people to get the album actually recorded and made. Hopefully, see it sometime next year. Question mark?
No, I got no idea, brother. No, I can't tell you a thing. Very busy, lots of shit happening.
You were gonna say something? No.
Oh, and Sean is also in a band called Revenger.
Oh, nice. Yes,
Revenger. They're a great band too.
They're coming here soon, aren't they? Revenger.
Yeah, Revenger's fucking top.
Yeah, right on.
But I don't know. There's something that Gene told me once. He said, "Bell, be prolific. You know, the more that you do, the more you can do," was the advice that he told me. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try and do everything I can do.
Is all the dudes in West of Hell pretty much? Do you guys have full-time work? Are you doing music full-time?
We all got a day job, yeah.
You all got day jobs?
Yeah.
So how do you find that balance? Because you guys just went across almost all of Canada. How do you really find that?
Well, I think we're all pretty fortunate that we're not in entry-level jobs. We're all like sort of in like a contract or a management position.
We all crush it at all aspects of life.
Excellent
So
answer.
we you know, I think Jordan summed it up. But we have that opportunity to go, okay, guys, I got to go away for a month. Keep the shit rolling. And that's a good position to be in.
Yeah, that's pretty jealous for most people because I watched a documentary a long time ago with, I want to get it right, and I think it was 6 Feet Under. And when they would get off tour, the guys would have to deliver pizzas.
Fuck.
Like, how tragic is that when you have a band who's so influential? Like, yeah, of course they're not that big album sales wise, but I mean Chris Barnes and like the whole Florida death metal thing is just.
Yeah.
But it's heartbreaking to hear that they got to resort to driving skip the dishes or something
It's really,
because
really
their
hard.
job.
It's really hard the way the music business is now to monetize your product. You know, to actually make a living out of it. Like even at the, you know, I mean, obviously Maiden does good, but I mean, mid-tier bands, they come home with not a mint. They just can survive off of it. And I mean, the MP3s took it away from us.
As far as day jobs go, I've been a carpenter for 15 years, and I've worked for myself. And the entire time I've been doing it, even when I was only a few years experienced, no matter who I worked for, I was just like, when I gotta go, I gotta go. So that's how it's gonna be. So if you don't want to hire me, I'm not gonna be able to work here. Yeah, so I've always been like, I'm sorry, but this is when I can't work. See ya. And fortunately, I've been spoiled enough to grow up in an economy where, you know, you don't have to hang on to your job so tight, or for fear of not having one. You know, I can go away, come back, get a job anytime. It's nice, right? Like I hear, trying to work in the 90s in the Lower Mainland was not like that. People were desperate for work, but it's different now. There's just that much work out there, and like Paul, our drummer, he's in trades as well, right? And Chris runs a music school. Chris runs Horizon
cool.
School of Music, which is
Awesome.
doing real well. He's been teaching guitar since he quit high school way back when, right? So he's always just been doing nothing but music. And now Horizon School of Music's really taken off. Val here is in the movie industry.
Yeah, I'm a partner in a special effects firm for film and television.
Movie to movie or show to show, right?
Yeah, it's contractual. I try not to get involved with too much series television that you're committed to. More just feature films. And,
Well, why don't you
short
want to do
runs.
serious stuff?
Because if you start doing the job, and I'm the liaison with the director to tell my guys what to do, and it's like, I gotta go. They're like, oh fuck, they want you there.
Gotcha. Right.
So on contractual 15-day shoots, I try and do that. But I'm sort of the ringer on my team for series television. We do a big pyro day or a big car stunt day or something. They call me out for that day.
Yeah, what have you worked out to talk about?
I sure. What is it? The television series Van Helsing, television series The Order, Ghost Wars, Haunting Hour. We did a whole bunch of technical props for Riverdale and Sabrina.
Or at the CW series.
Yeah,
They're famous
and
for
Chucky, the new
filming in
Chucky movie.
Vancouver.
We did a bunch of stuff for them too.
Awesome.
New Chucky movie?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, bro.
I just saw a trailer the other day, and I didn't realize one was coming. So that's
Yeah,
the
well, I
only
can't
reason
tell
I'm
you
saying
anything
cool.
about any of those projects other than the name, right?
Does he kill people?
I don't know what happens really.
The doll, right?
No, I'm not sure.
Are you allowed to say?
So, with your connection to the visual effects stuff, obviously that is pretty well known in Zimmer's Hole,
Yeah.
what translates there. But what do you bring into West of Hell from that experience?
Well, whatever production will fit into a place as big as Munins.
Can you elaborate?
No, you got to come down and check out the show. I ain't telling you squat, man.
Yeah, exactly. Some places are sick of the fire department turning up, so
10 smoke machines all on 11?
We blow breakers. The police show up. The cops show up. I mean, the fire department shows up. The owners are angry. The people are wall to wall having a good time. Exactly, bro.
Yeah, they keep getting invited back because obviously the show is there. So that's really
No,
awesome.
we're not disrespectful in any sense to the venues. We really appreciate that they allow us to do this stuff.
Push the boundaries. Push all available boundaries.
However, I did make a mistake.
we're not consciously disrespectful, but we have made mistakes.
Maybe you should cover this, Jess.
So the year was 2014. West of Hell was playing Armstrong Metal Fest, and I decided that I had something that I had to do out in the campsite, and all of a sudden, a horde of people come running out of the venue, And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And this guy looks at me. He's like, she's burning down to the ground. And I'm thinking, there's some great white shit going on here. Every promoter's fear. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. Holy shit. What the fuck do you mean she's going to burn down to the ground? And there were like, there's some people running.
You're
There's some
thinking,
people-
who's on stage right now?
I had to pull up. I was like, who the fuck is it at this particular moment? It was West of Hell. You guys broke into AC/DC's Back in Black, I believe it was what it was. And Val lit off some pyro inside the building. It was non-flammable pyro, but it still hit something, and it led me to believe it blew 2 holes in the ceiling.
Whoa.
It was just like a foam stuff, but it still blew 2 fucking holes in the ceiling. And I had the venue owners, like, they knew about it immediately. And I'm like, oh my God, 2 holes in the ceiling. And why didn't the sprinklers go off? And obviously because there was no heat, but like, I didn't know that at the time. I was furious. Val, was I furious? I
was
had never,
not cool.
I had never been so mad in my whole
For the
life.
record, we're not proud of this. It was a mistake. We shouldn't have done it.
It was a mistake. I thought my dreams of having a festival and all that kind of stuff. Like Brett Melanson is here, a co-founder of Armstrong Metal Fest. Basically, our dream was over. We were like, this is never going to happen again. We're going to have to make an insurance claim. The venue's going to burn down. All the equipment, and then, but it ended up being a non-problem that Val took care of and took full responsibility for and fixed and made right.
Lucky.
But at the time, though, I had to call in a lot of favors. I had to make a lot of phone calls, make a lot of deals.
Sorry, Jesse. The story's making me sad.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are 5 years later. No. The best part is the next year at Loud as Hell, I'm watching them play because like put on a great performance, and then they finish. And normally you guys used to finish with Judas Priest's Red, White, and Blue. Yeah. That's what they normally do. Except this time they decided to put on Bloodhound Gang. The Roof is on Fire. And I'm out in the crowd, and I'm like, what the fuck? I walk back, and I run into Sean, and Sean's like, all for you, buddy. Don't worry about it. I'm like, you bastard.
Does your insurance rates go up? Did you have to pull? Oh, man, that's good, because... Oh. They didn't find out. Okay, good.
Val just covered it.
Yeah, it wasn't intentional. When we went to the special effects shop, and I'm looking through their inventory, and I'm like, I call the boss and tell him the building, and I'm like, well, what should I use, man? I just want, a couple pops. And he's like, yo, go 2.5 shorts, and I grabbed 2.5 longs.
Oops.
which were twice as big as they were supposed to be. But it's a giant birthday sparkler, basically, right?
Man. This is the first time you guys have talked publicly about it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Pretty nice.
Well, all the people that were in the crowd have talked publicly about it.
Yeah. Oh, you guys were shutting down videos just because you didn't want to... Really? Holy crap. Well, okay. Well, expand on what you had to...
No, I can't expand.
Oh, you can't expand on it. Okay. I think it's very cool that you guys are all not just working men, but you work like you're self-driven people, and that kind of shows into the band itself. Like the same level of intensity goes into the band, and I feel that as a listener, you pick up on that. It's not fake. It's not put on.
It's not a hobby.
It's legitimate.
Yeah, it's not a hobby. This is our life, right?
Yeah, it sounds very real. Yeah, and you can hear it comes through in the music and the performance and everything. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, I think I've covered every single question in my brain that I've kind of wanted to pick with you guys. Is there anything else you want to share with
you guys
potential bands?
You got to check out our new videos.
Okay.
Because cameramen in Vancouver, they tend to work on horribly benign vanilla projects, drivel. They sit behind the camera all day and want to kill themselves. And then they know me from film, and I go, hey, I'm doing a little video, and we're going to do this crazy shit. What do you say? So I get guys bringing out $2 million worth of camera gear for $1,000.
Oh, wow.
Just
That's
because
awesome.
they want to shoot what we do for their demo reels.
Mm-hmm.
We're fucking fun. And yeah, they come to the plate. because they want to shoot it. They're artists, right? They don't want to shoot garbage all day. They want to shoot some crazy maniacs rocking out on the top of a tour bus, right?
Well, you're very lucky to have that network of people to tap into. Not everybody knows people who work in the film industry. Like, hey, man, can you bring that $2 million camera out in the woods, please?
So I got a question for you. What was it like shooting the video on top of the bus?
Well, I loved it, but I think Paul and Chris were a little uncomfortable.
I saw on Chris's face, because I know Chris pretty well, so I saw on his face that he was a little uncomfortable when it was moving.
I gotta tell.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, so Val and I we're the most eager, right? Like I got no problem with heights or whatever, and Val was right at the front, I was right behind him, and they were like, we had to tape drums, snare, and cymbal stand down, and that, and his stool down so he could actually sit there, look like he's playing the drums, and then Chris was behind him, and we got all set up. And we're going like, okay, yeah, the bus is actually going to be rolling, like, and the playback was actually coming through the monitor, right? So we actually had the song playback, so we could actually play along, like, right?
We were trying to jam on top of the bus.
Yeah, totally, right?
This isn't a lip sync.
So we're like talking to the driver about how we're going to coordinate when we're rolling and when we're not, and the cameraman's down there flying a drone around us and all that. And right before we started rolling, I can't remember if it was Paul or Chris. I think it might have been Paul. But I just hear from the back, we're like ready to go, and he goes, I hear this, guys, I just want you to know that I'm really uncomfortable and I feel really unsafe, and I think this is a bad idea, and I don't know if we should be doing this. And I just look forward and I look at Val and I'm like, roll it.
You'll get the best performance out of him.
Yeah, you
when
capture
you're-
the real essence then, right, of the band. This is what we're like on top of a bus.
That's so
yeah,
rad.
Well, I mean, because of my experience with film, it's a very powerful medium, right? And nothing pisses me off more than seeing a singer with no mic cable plugged into his mic, or no mic cable plugged into the guitar.
Yeah.
All of our videos, we plug in, we turn it up, and we play, right? I think that's, otherwise you're sort of a Milli Vanilli.
So you guys had generators on the bus?
Yeah, well,
To electrify
the
everything?
bus has a
Power converter.
it has a full inverter system for 110 power. We actually plugged in all the cabinets and yeah,
Holy crap. Plugged everything in.
everything. Oh, that
While
video
playing
we
on-
are jamming, and we're gonna release a making of where it's actually the raw sound of us jamming.
Oh, I remember when you asked me at that same AMF.
You asked me at that same AMF before you guys had your performance there that you guys wanted to wake everyone up on the Sunday. Yeah. You guys wanted to play a show Sunday morning out in the campsite. I remember going, I was like, I can't say yes to that. I'm not allowed to say yes to that. I'm like, just do it. But like, I can't say yes to that. No, don't do that, please.
I hate being that guy. I'm always that guy. No.
Wake everybody up.
Did you guys end up actually playing on the Sunday morning? No.
The guy who's always like, no, I can't. No fun, guys.
Yeah, you got no fun, okay?
Well, there has
I'm
to be
gonna get in trouble.
parameters. There has to be parameters to keep doing what you're doing and keep a festival alive. So I understand, right?
I'm always like,
Of course.
I want to say yes.
Yeah. It's one thing you learned very quickly with Val is when he knows there's a line, he's going to go 20 miles past it. So you got to rein it in a little bit
Stand your ground.
and say, you can't actually do all of these things. Then it'll be like, oh, can I pick at least one?
Like you can cross this much, but not this much.
Yeah.
Go big or stay home.
No chemical baths in the middle of the floor, please. I get it looks cool, but you just can't do it. Is there anything else you guys like to add? Maybe advice to
Yeah, to younger
Aspiring
bands
people.
or anybody coming up.
I don't know, just there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff you gotta just learn to get good at, learn to book shows, learn to promote your band. You know, it sucks. All you want to do is jam and drink beer. You gotta learn to do that behind the scenes stuff, right? And
Like
at the end
the-
of the day,
business aspect of it, you mean?
yeah, the business aspect, you got to learn to do the behind the scenes stuff for yourself, right? And you can get right into that, and you can start running your band like a business hard, right? And then at the end of all that, you still got to go back to the music, and all of that business side of it is not going to be worthwhile if you don't have good songs, right? So you got to get good at that business side of it. But when you come back to your next album, if you don't have good music, you don't have anything worth doing it for.
Yeah.
So,
But you can have good music, but if nobody hears it, nobody knows about it, you're dead in the water as well.
Yeah.
You know, you have to work the new media, the social media and the internet, and
You can also be good at the business part and shitty at the music part. But
Yeah.
you just keep making music until you find what you like the best. I don't know. I always write music just for me. And sometimes people like it, some people don't. Mind you, I'm not successful.
Maybe you need that focus.
He's secretly looking for advice.
Yeah, I'm looking for advice. You know, actually, the thing is like Jordan's totally right with the business aspect of it, and like the whole idea of like getting someone to guide you through it. You can't get someone to guide you through it. You just have to kind of do it and fail at it, and reassess and go back at it and try it again.
Yeah, that's how you learn, right?
That's
And then
how you
get
learn
better.
Like, and you just can't. Like, it's such a cop out to be like, I don't know how to do that. I'm not gonna do it. Like, that's bullshit. Just fake it. Just
Fake it till you make
Google
it.
it.
Google it. Watch
Google it.
YouTube
It's fucking,
videos.
this is the age of YouTube, man. I can change fucking oil on a truck.
Yeah.
anyone will help you.
but that you have to stand out. You know, there's already one Slayer, there's already one Metallica, there's already one Lamb of God. You know, there's already one Archspire. What's the point being just like that band?
Yeah.
Take your inspirations, but you have to make something your own. Come out of this, or else you just blend into the gray sea of all these other same bands, and no one will notice your shit.
Awesome.
All right, with the terms of Armstrong Metal Festival, you guys open up submissions for bands.
Submissions for general bands, like for 2020? Yeah. For 2020,
Fall.
In the fall. We're probably going to do it September 1st, but I think we're going to try to extend our holiday and start it in like October 1st. This is like, it's so involved. I think we're going to close the window from like September 1st to November 1st to like October 1st to November 1st. Just give them a month. People can fire in their submissions then. Just because like band submissions is like a heavy son of a bitch to get through because we check them all. Like 300,
Yeah.
And then how many do you normally choose?
36. So yeah, we take about 10% of them, and like some of the bands don't even get like some of the bands aren't even bands that submitted, right? Some bands are tour packages, right? That get involved. Breton, you can get involved with the tour packages. He usually handles the bigger stuff.
Yeah, I usually go after the headliners, talk to the booking agents, the two booking agents that give us the time of day.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dan
Continental.
Rosenblum and Stefan Malal.
There was a point when Brett would like send me all these emails from all these different email addresses, and it would always be Steph would be the booking agent, and I just kind of assumed that when you take on a booking agent role, your new alias is just Steph. So if I was gonna book for Odinfist or something like that, it would be Steph at odinfistbooking.ca. You know.
No, that's just one.
He was just one guy.
agent who's been really good to us.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of what's up with Odinfist and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Great. We're looking forward to the
Armstrong.
release party for sure.
I got way too much shit going on. Jesus.
And we'll be there too. We'll be at the release party. Don't you worry.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. I'm happy. It'll be fun.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
it will be.
You know
Or-
what? I'll give you guys an in-depth on the concept of the album at that podcast.
Well, we'll sit down there and talk about it for sure. We will.
Alrighty.
All right. I think we got to wrap it up though. It looks like they're going to be starting sound check pretty quick here.
That means I have to go.
Thank you.
Right on. Thanks, Weston
Thank
Hell,
you
for
very
being
much.
here with us. This
Our
is
pleasure.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having us, guys.
Metal
Thank
as
you,
Medicine.
Brendan.
Be sure to check out their Bandcamp if you can't make it out to the shows to support them. Buy their album there
Check out the vids on YouTube.
and
out
watch
our
them
vids
on
on
YouTube.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks a lot,
Thanks a
guys.
lot.
That was
Okay.
great. Thanks, Val.
All right, so this podcast was totally brought to you by the Okanagan Tattoo Show because they bought the sweet gear that we're using to record, and of course Wentworth Music, who supplied the gear that we're also using. So, and that's it. Thanks, bye.
Thanks. Bye.